Hello everybody, Stewart Swerdlow.
And Janet Diane Moya
Sorry,
Swerdlow.
I jumped the gun there for expansions.com. And this is our news podcast for Appreciation Week, otherwise known as Christmas, for 2017. Well, Christmas, did you get me presents? Appreciation Week. That means a week. I get presents all week.
Well, we're giving an Appreciation Week to our readers and viewers out there. Every day, we are. Every day they have a new deal on the expansions.com website.
All right.
Some people have already taken advantage of that.
Oh.
Programming scans.
Okay.
Name analysis scans.
That's just more work for me.
Yeah. All kinds of very interesting scans out there, so you can get to know who you are and appreciate yourself.
That's right, or at least I get to appreciate them because I get to see them inside and out.
There you go.
Well, there's some very serious news, as everybody knows, and that is China, hence my shirt.
Can you say that in Chinese?
It's called Shanghai.
Oh, very good. And in case you forgot how to say, it's written down there.
Yeah, and Shanghai in Chinese, Shang means on, and high water, so it's on the water. And guess what? Shanghai's on the water.
Oh.
They named it for what it really was.
Fascinating.
And Beijing means northern capital. See, that's the interesting thing about Chinese, because when they name a city or a town, it's not like a name of, it's like, that's what it is.
No, it makes sense.
You know, like that's what the thing is.
Well, we have that like Mesa, Arizona, because it's on a mesa. We have that kind of thing too.
Yeah. So anyway, I wonder what they would name you in Chinese. Anyway.
Beautiful lady.
Because you know, Janet, means house.
And what is net mean?
There is no word net in Chinese, no.
I like the Arabic meaning of my name, which means paradise.
Oh my God, we have no proof of that.
Yeah, we do. The guy that we met in Bosnia who speaks Arabic said that in Arabic,
we met the Iraqi person we know also said that.
Yeah. So we had several people confirm.
Anyway.
So what's it like being married to paradise?
I wouldn't know.
No, you're not married?
No, I'm not a fanatic about it.
Unfortunately, that's a worldwide knowledge.
No, it's not. Now you just let it out of the bag. Thanks a lot.
No.
Okay, back to me. China is preparing for war on the Korean Peninsula, and they said the risk is higher than ever before. And the Chinese government advisors warned that Beijing was once seen as an ally of North Korea and was able to control them, but now they're losing control of the situation. And according to the State Council of the Chinese cabinet, they said, North Korea is a time bomb. We can only delay the explosion, hoping that by delaying it, the time will come to remove the detonator. Of course, they said it with a Chinese accent. I could have done that, but it would have been politically incorrect. Then they said that war could break out on the Korean Peninsula anytime from now until March, when South Korea and the U.S. hold military drills. And they said it is a highly dangerous period, and northeast China, which borders North Korea, should mobilize defenses for war. And China Mobile, which I guess is a telecom operator, which I don't understand why they would say this. They're planning to set up 5 refugee camps in the county that's right adjacent to North Korea. So does that mean they're going to let North Koreans flee into China? That would be unusual. He said the Chinese were worried about the threat that North Korea's frequent nuclear tests were posing to unstable geological structures. For example, they set off a nuclear bomb right underneath a freaking volcano, which started to then shake. I mean, they're not too bright, these North Koreans.
Maybe they did that on purpose.
Yeah. Anyway, there's reason why, according to some world affairs experts, of why the North Koreans are continuing with their atomic program despite all the controversy against them in the world. And that is, number one, to ensure that there's no change in the regime, to extort money from other countries, primarily the United States, to feed North Koreans. And we heard, or they have heard, that Kim Jong-un put billions of dollars into military spending, missiles, nuclear, biological weapons. Plus, he has an extravagant lifestyle. For example, he has mansions, fancy clothes, a lot of food, while all the people in this country are starving. And basically, Kim Jong-un using this whole thing to extort payments and money from other countries. And so you may remember a few months ago, I think we did a podcast, and I said North Korea is actually sitting on top of trillions of dollars of gems and natural metals and things that are very rare. So they really could be a very wealthy country.
But we also talked about how China goes in and mines a lot of that already.
Well, now they're saying China cut them off. They said China is not even taking coal from them.
Now, what they tell us in the news and what they're really doing,
True,
of course.
that's true. Meanwhile, there's rumors that South Korea, with help from Israel, is sending in an assassination team. Don't tell Kim Jong-un. It's a secret. Okay. Anyway, guess what's hot besides myself? Well, apparently, a vast mass, and that was very difficult to say, by the way.
I could say.
A vast mass of hot rock is welling up underneath, guess where? Vermont.
Wow.
That's going to melt some cheddar cheese. And extending into other subterranean regions of New England, according to scientists, they're detecting an enormous blob upwelling under Vermont, New Hampshire, and Massachusetts, and possibly elsewhere. The upwelling is like a hot air balloon, they said, which means that something is rising up to the deeper part of our planet. Gee, that must have taken them a lot of brains to think about that. And even though New England doesn't have any active volcanoes, they think that this geological phenomenon is recent. And according to them, they compared it to other volcanic masses underneath the continental United States, and they said it's not Yellowstone-like, but it's a distant relative in the sense that something relatively small, no more than a couple of 100 miles across, is happening. Well, if you were living above those couple of 100 miles of territory, that would not be trivial.
No, that if 200 miles across exploded, that would be like huge.
And then the brilliant professors say, maybe it didn't have time yet, or maybe it's too small and will never make it. Come back in 50 million years and we'll see what happens. Okay.
That provides
Let's make reservations now. Hello, Vermont Hotel. I'd like reservations for 50 million years from now, a deluxe room.
But you can do this time travel thing.
Yeah, so here's the thing, people. It is not recent. This is a BS story, because you can look this up. Back in the 1600s and the 1700s, the colonists there heard loud booms, airquakes, and earthquakes that were felt all over the place. So they're just preparing people for something they know is about to happen. And in the 1700s, there was a huge earthquake in the Boston area, which would, if it happens now, would be quite devastating. Speaking of devastation, the governor of Puerto Rico has ordered a recount of deaths related to Hurricane Maria, which happened last September, 3 months ago. And the official figure of deaths is only 64, which they think is a gross misrepresentation of the actual death toll, because multiple media outlets, including Vox, have reported the real number is more like 1,000.
That's a big difference.
Yeah, a little bit. 64 and 1,000. Yeah, a little bit of a difference.
A little bit.
They found that the number of people who died from the storm is closer to 1,085.
So why would they make it smaller?
So let me explain to you why.
Why?
Because they did this, you might remember, with Hurricane Andrew in Florida back in the early 90s, and they said, a couple of hundred people died. Actually, it was like 5,000.
Right.
And the same thing with Hurricane Katrina,
right.
which I can't remember the death toll there, but it was actually like 10,000. So why? Underestimating or reducing the deaths means there's less aid money.
That makes sense, yeah.
And so they don't have to pay to rebuild so much because, it wasn't so bad after all. But the thing is, we also know that sometimes they take people and they don't report the deaths and they use them elsewhere.
That's true.
And plus, in a place like Puerto Rico and other poor countries and places like this, even though Puerto Rico is part of the U.S., it's very poor. when whole families or whole villages get wiped out, there's no one to report the deaths.
That's true.
And nobody even knew how many lived there in the first place.
Right.
So that's why it's underreported. Now, very interesting story which I need to tell you about. And that is that there are 7 amazing facts about President Trump's economy that the media does not report. I want you to know. Number 1, Latino unemployment is at a record low. In fact, it's at a 45-year history record low since the government's been taking account. 2, black unemployment is at a 17-year low. 3, there is real economic growth at the rate of 3.3% in the third quarter of 2017. 4, there is soaring economic optimism, and they're calling it boom times. And a near record of 41% believe 2018 will see even a better economy and their home values rise.
That'd be good news.
That'd be good. 5, a booming stock market, and that's the truth. That's at record high levels. 6, unemployment hits a 17-year low. America has an unemployment rate of just 4.1%. It's the lowest since the year 2000. So Obama did 0 for that. And 7, manufacturing jobs are booming, and they said that in the final year of Obama's presidency, America lost a net loss of 16,000 manufacturing jobs, whereas now, so far in 2017, 171,000 manufacturing jobs have been created.
Wow.
And the manufacturing unemployment is only 2.6%, the lowest ever recorded. So people, he may be nuts and he may be inappropriate, but he knows how to handle money.
Apparently so.
Yeah.
All right. Is it my turn?
I guess.
Well, I have some fascinating news.
Okay, I'm fascinated.
Okay, let's start off with the UFOs, one of your favorite
I love
topics.
UFOs.
According to this report, the Pentagon has reportedly recovered metal alloys from unidentified flying objects that scientists do not recognize.
Well, that's only been like for the last 100 years.
But they don't tell us. Now they're actually telling us on May. This is the New York Times is actually reporting it.
Okay.
Materials which are alleged to have amazing properties are being stored in modified buildings in Las Vegas.
Why Las Vegas?
Probably because you have to get to
Area 51.
And guess what the name of Area 51's airline is called?
Janet Airlines.
That's right. We don't want to forget that. The U.S. Department of Defense has admitted to a secret $22 million program which ran between 2007 and 2012 that was tasked with investigating reports of UFOs.
They spent $22 million?
That's what it says.
I would have done it for 10% of that.
A lot less. And in fact, they could have just read your books and then they wouldn't have done this.
I'm telling you, people, I'll do it for 10% of the budget right now.
Yeah, right now. Tell Mr. Trump, please.
Or Mr. Putin.
Let's get him on staff.
I'll do it for Mr. Putin.
Do either one of them.
Give me some rubles.
They probably share behind the scenes anyway. It doesn't really matter. They have some material from these objects that is being studied so that scientists can try to figure out what accounts for their amazing properties, according to Ralph Blumenthal, who's one of the authors of the New York Times report. And he said this to MSNBC, so all mainstream news. That's what's news about this story.
That's what I'm going to say in a moment.
Mr. Blumenthal said that the Department of Defense, quote, do not know, quote, unquote, what the materials are made of.
Oh, they do.
I'm telling you what they're reporting. Quote, it's some sort of compound they do not recognize, unquote.
It's titanium and nickel.
The Pentagon refused to comment when contacted by The Independent. Researchers also studied people who claimed they had experienced physical effects from encounters with unidentified aerial phenomena, according to the New York Times report. And then, of course, there was a previously classified video just released by the Department of Defense.
Did you see that?
Which shows Navy pilots reacting with astonishment after being sent to investigate a mysterious flying object as it hovered off the coast of San Diego.
And people, this comes just a few days after that strange cigar-shaped object flew by the Earth. And I told you that 2018 is going to be the staged alien invasion, and here we go.
Yep, they're starting to talk about it.
They're telling you everything.
And speaking,
well, not everything, but
they're starting to release it and put it on mainstream news for the average person out there.
They're about to tell you something more.
Yeah, and 2018 is an 11-year, a double new beginning when things change. So, of course, the global handlers are going to use that energy for their purposes, and it's up to you if you're going to use it for your own purposes and not have it used against you.
Right.
Now, another one of your favorite topics, Kuiper Belt.
Oh, it says that there's an article about that?
There is.
Oh.
This is about a mysterious object that NASA is going to visit in 2019. And it says this mysterious object is named Mu, like maybe Lemuria.
Oh.
Mu 69 isn't the most
also
immediately appealing object in our solar system. It says it's a temporary name. It claims it's 1 billion miles past Pluto.
Really?
But it says this object is called a cold classical Kuiper Belt object. Have you ever heard that? Cold? Or is it
classical? I've never heard of a classical
But
one
it says,
because they don't know what
this is
the
what they're
standard
saying.
there.
Apparently the New Horizons spacecraft is already on its way to visit Mu 69.
I want to go with Mu 69.
And then it says that Mu 69 is an object in the Kuiper Belt. Then it explains what the Kuiper Belt is, a disk of asteroids, comets, dwarf planets, and so on.
So that means the Munchkins live there?
And so on, orbiting the sun out beyond Neptune. Then it says we know very little about this area of the solar system.
I know a lot about it.
Which is billions of miles beyond our world.
Well, I'm billions of miles.
I thought that was interesting.
World.
And we're going to be talking on Nevis about the Kuiper Belts.
And in the January class.
Yes. So we have lots of very interesting information for you to report. So, and then here's another one of our favorite topics, which is dinosaurs.
Oh, yes.
Now, there is apparently, in India, there was a partially preserved corpse, which resembled, they say, a dinosaur, found with its flesh still on its bones. Now, it says the corpse was discovered in an abandoned substation, whatever that means.
From utilities and stuff.
Which is laying there? It doesn't make sense.
I know. Well, they said it had been abandoned like since 1989 or something like that.
The substation, but they don't know how old this dinosaur thing was.
Well, how did it get in there?
Exactly. That's my point. It says the specimen has been sent for analysis, including carbon dating, to reveal its age. And I thought you might like to tell the story when we visited the cave in Marvel Cave.
Oh, and yes.
About what they told us.
They had a room that
we visited this cave.
It's a cave pocket, and in that cave pocket they found full dinosaurs with skin and everything.
Like they were sleeping.
Like they were sleeping. They thought looked like they were just sleeping.
Yeah.
But apparently they were either dead or in suspended animation. So they called the Smithsonian Institute. The Smithsonian Institute took them out. And then months went by, years went by, and finally the owner who owned the land in the cave called and said, "Hey, whatever happened to those dinosaurs you took out?" And they said, "What dinosaurs?"
Yeah. It's not the first time we've had these kind of stories before, so very interesting things we know and the people we know.
Now, if I remember correctly, this dinosaur that they found in India had the flesh and skin on it. They said the type of that dinosaur was about 250 million years old, so that it was impossible for it to still have those accoutrements on its body.
And of course, and the picture shows it very small because they don't want to show you something really big because it would freak people out.
So
maybe
they start that's
with
why they
little.
closed the substation, because it was infested with little dinosaurs.
That's a possibility. Yeah, maybe this was a little baby one that was going to grow up and eat people. Anyway, I found this was another very interesting story. Now, we've been talking a lot about the sexual harassment thing, which we think is really blown out of proportion. And the reason, of course, is to get rid of the old guard and bring the new guard in. Because one thing that we did find out, that when they do this to these people who have been around for a long time and they make these accusations, then basically they become criminals. So that means their assets can be seized and their properties can be seized globally. So now these people who maybe were used to making millions and billions of dollars, had all kinds of assets, have nothing. Puts them in a very bad position, but that makes them quote-unquote powerless to do anything and so on.
So what is this thing?
So this story is actually about a Democratic congresswoman who's 71 years old named Marcy Kaptur. Now, do you remember I reported I think it was last time or the time before, about Angela Lansbury, who's like 92 or something 91,
like that, right.
saying that females were dressing inappropriately.
And that's why they had those issues.
Right. So now here's Marcy Kaptur, this Democratic congresswoman, 71 years old, said, quote, "Too many members dress inappropriately, which creates an invitation for harassment." Now that part is not necessarily news. This is the news part. She thinks that Capitol Hill should enforce a stricter dress code like that of the Army.
So she wants a military coup.
Exactly. Don't you think that's interesting?
Yeah. Well, what I think also is interesting is that just the other day, a woman filed a criminal complaint against Sylvester Stallone about an incident that happened in 1990. So let me get this straight. She waited almost 28 years to say something.
Yeah.
So could you take her seriously? No.
Not only that, but we have a statute of limitations.
Like, how are they going to even find proof of anything after that anyway?
Right. It's just insane.
It's
bizarre.
ridiculous.
But the reason is, like I said, is to bring the old guard down. And so this woman also goes on to say, quote, maybe I'll get booed for saying this, but many companies and the military have a dress code. So, unquote. So, point being is now we're linking up, like you said, military coup, politics, Capitol Hill, all these buzzwords they're putting into your head. And this one, and I've talked to you a lot about how they're trying to eliminate your need or want for animal protein in your diet. Now, I can assure you that the global handlers are eating plenty of protein.
Oh, I know they are.
But they're making it so you don't want it. So, and I've talked to you how, you know, even like they say, you know, save the whales in Iceland, and we know a lot of Icelandic people, and the whales that
we worked in Iceland.
Yes, and the whales that they use for food there are plenty of them. So there's a reason.
In fact, there's so many whales they're killing all the fish.
Exactly. And then that's a fish shortage for you. So, and I've told you about before when they tried to get you away from red meat and they put you onto fish. Now, fish at my supermarket can be $25 to $50 a pound and up. I've seen it as much.
Because we live far from the ocean.
It doesn't matter. You don't pay that much for anything else, but the fish, which is supposed to be better for you, because now that's what they're telling you, $25, $50, I've seen as high as $65 a pound.
For that price, we could fly to the ocean and catch our own.
Yes. So now, and I've told you that now I've said the next thing I'm going to do is work on beef, because I said they show you, you know, bringing cows into your home and they're wonderful cows. Okay, then I saw this article about chickens, because now remember you're supposed to eat chickens, right? Now chickens they're bringing into nursing homes for old people as their pets and their friends.
A chicken pet?
Yes. And they show these old people now holding the chickens.
So these old men go, come here, honey, give me a little peck.
And so when I was kind of doing a little bit of research on this, I found there's a website, an organization called Direct Action Everywhere. And I found this one because they showed their members going into supermarkets and holding funerals for the turkeys and the chickens.
Oh, please.
And laying out things and carrying them around and marching these.
Those are sick people.
And so I looked up this website and they're now calling it Animal Liberation. Open your eyes and join us at the frontier of social justice for the greatest liberation movement in history until every animal is free. And they have a little saying, turkeys are friends, not food.
Really? Do you have a turkey friend?
And so they talk about now if you think that the animals are being raised humanely, that was the first thing. You know, oh, you want your meat to be raised humanely. Well, I'm sorry. Animals are not humans, so their idea of what is good for them is not what your idea is. You have to go look at the frequency, which most of you don't do. You just get emotional. So now they're saying basically the same thing. First of all, you know, you don't eat the whales, and that's too far removed for most people to even understand. Then they're taking away the deer, and then now they're trying to take you off of red meat willingly. They're not taking your food. They're saying don't eat it, and that's what people are doing. So I found that interesting. Then I also brought up to you last week about New World religion and blood, and now menstrual blood, because that's part of New World religion. And I talked to you about what was going on, and I think it was Harper's Bazaar magazine. Now we're starting to see this all over the place. Oh, and it also started when they show sanitary napkins instead of using like blue. Now they're using actual red dye to show blood. See, that's what they don't want you to make those faces. They think you're wrong for doing that. In Wales, let's see, the town councillor said that she did research showing girls are missing school because they cannot afford the hygiene products. So she wants menstrual cups and cloth sanitary towels to be handed out to tackle the problem sustainably, because that's the catch, sustainability. Because like the earth, people think that it can, you know, like die at the hands of humans, and it cannot. I'm sorry, the earth is going to get rid of you before you're going to get rid of the earth. That's the truth.
That's the truth.
So anyway, that's her excuse, however, because they want you dealing with and not disposing of it now. They want a menstrual cup and a cloth sanitary towel. And then they go on to say that thousands of women in the UK cannot afford to buy sanitary products.
Why?
Don't
you know
ask
why?
me.
Because they're spending too much money on alcohol and cigarettes.
Probably. Research by the Charity Plan International suggests that 1 in 10 girls and women aged 14 and 21 has been affected. And then in Scotland, they're now providing towels and tampons to those who need them through an Aberdeen food bank. And then, of course, they have to have the young girls get involved. So, one young girl started now, remember the hashtag #MeToo, now they have free periods. And she said, now they're holding up all kinds of signs about menstrual blood, and they've got blood running down all over, and I mean, it's probably fake stuff, but I mean, you know, they want now to have this discussion on menstrual blood. Because I want this in your head, because I'm telling you it's going to be part of New World Religion, and everything I have told you these past few years, you're watching it come to fruition. So watch for more stuff about the acceptability of menstrual blood. Okay? And my last story, again, about the New World Religion, and I told you last time about this Krampus thing.
Yes.
And I know, supposedly it's an old tradition in Europe. However, I know people who've lived in various parts of Europe, and when they talked to me, they said, I lived there for several years, maybe a decade or two ago, but we didn't see this Krampus character. Now we have.
Never heard of it.
Well, now you have. And so now, speaking of New World Religion and Krampus and all that and Santa crap, we have the Pope who's claiming that the devil is real. He's a real person.
Really?
Don't argue with the devil, says the Pope. He'll always win because he's more intelligent than mortals.
Because he went to school.
So that's giving you that's saying what he thinks about your level of intelligence to deal with evil.
Because he's the devil.
Now, he says that, it goes on to say that he regularly refers to the devil in his sermons in the Vatican.
I bet he does.
And remember, I've been telling you to watch for the word demonized, right? So he regularly refers to it, and also he routinely praises the work of exorcists for combating Satan's evil forces. So this is putting
gone, Satan.
all this stuff in your head, and it's going to be part of New World Religion. And the Pope said, quote, "He is evil, he's not like mist, he's not a diffuse thing, he is a person," unquote. And it also gets you ready to accept astral entities such as these Krampus-type characters.
It also gets you ready to accept the Antichrist.
Absolutely. So I'm just telling you, there's a lot of stuff going on. It's Christmas time. There's here in the U.S. a Christian holiday. So therefore...
And it's supposed to be brutally cold for Christmas here.
But the point is still, you must do your deprogramming work. I think we have programming scans on sale, or at least it's one of our 8 days of appreciation things, if that's something you want. And you miss the sale, contact customer support at expansions.com and ask Patricia if you'll please give you that sale price, because you need a programming scan to find out what is most likely to be activated in you and what you can do to stop
so you're
that.
telling everybody if they miss the sale to just ask Patricia and she'll give it? And what if she says, beg me?
Well, 13 Cubed, if you haven't read this book, this can be a lifesaver. True Reality of Sexuality, same thing. You know, do not let other people control your mind. And we also talk about things that can control your mind, or icons that can control your mind. So be very, very mindful of this time of year and going into the new year. As I just told you, things are going to be used against you. You want to make them work for you. So, what? What?
Say it.
You say it.
You say it.
You say it.
Nevis.
Okay, what about Nevis?
Well, we'll be there.
Yeah.
At the end of the year and early part of next year.
It's probably too late now. I think the hotel where we're staying at, last I heard, has 2 rooms left.
Oh.
But I don't know if you could get air flight, because we did know one person who had booked a room and then they couldn't get an air ticket.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So they couldn't come. They had to cancel. So I don't know if you can get there or not. You only have a couple of days.
I didn't know that. You didn't tell me that.
Yeah, I know. A lot of stuff I don't tell you.
Yeah, probably the airlines are all booked up already.
Yeah.
And then, of course, there's the January class.
Yes, as we're very excited about. As always, it's our most intense class of the year. And if you want to be in our Oversoul Mastermind group, you have to have the January class in order to apply.
And I'm going to have a special section this time in January class about little boy Jesus and what he used to do.
Yeah.
And we will have a special guest, as I mentioned.
We're going to do the LifeWave table. We have lots of exciting things.
Yeah. And then I go to New York to film a movie. And then I go to Ecuador to do a seminar and other things. And then, that's in February. And then in March, I'm supposed to be in Mexico City and maybe Cancun.
Okay, listen to me.
What?
We've already had several people asking us about the Mexico City event. If you send it to us, we're passing the emails on to the organizer there, because we are still finalizing the date and the venue. So if you're interested, let us know. We'll pass you on to her.
And then in February, I also have my new show, which I told you about, called Matrix Deactivated. It will begin February 11th or 18th. I'm not sure yet which date. And we'll have a live audience, and we'll be syndicated around the world.
So lots of things going on.
And then that's in February. March, I told you, is Mexico. April will be Poland and possibly Argentina. And then May is Turkey, Istanbul. We have a live show that you and I are both doing. And then June.
Yep, then we go into Milano. From there we take a private transportation up into the mountains, where we will spend some time studying the ancient Waldensian ways and secret history up there.
And then there's a possible investiture at Roslin Chapel in Scotland, followed by an amazing event in Havana, Cuba.